Elon Musk and SpaceX won't be leading the reusable rocket space race for long, and at least not if Russia has anything to say about it. Speaking with reporters, Vladimir Koshlakov, who heads the Keldysh Research Center in Moscow, said Musk is relying on technology that will soon be antiquated, while Russia is looking towards shaping the future of spaceflight. So, what is the plan of Russia to beat America and SpaceX?
Russia has been conducting research and development on using nuclear power in outer space for years. On May 22nd, Alexander Bloshenko, Executive Director for Advanced Programs and Science of Roscosmos, announced that the first mission of the nuclear-powered spacecraft, also known as the Transport and Energy Module, TEM, is scheduled for 2030, TASS May 22nd. A week before this announcement, there was a deliberate leak from the Keldysh Center, a Roscosmos subsidiary entity, that this nuclear-powered spacecraft might be used for military purposes along with civil ones, RI Novosti, May 13th. These verbal interventions almost coincided with the hearings in the US Congress on the NASA budget request that proposes $585 million for nuclear thermal propulsion technology in the fiscal year of 2022, and ongoing American efforts in this field. That means the Russian program on space nuclear power systems has not only technological, but also geopolitical goals. The spacecraft's energy module named Zeus is designed to generate enough power to propel heavy cargo through deep space. It's essentially a mobile nuclear power plant. Russia has put more than 30 reactors in space. Its Zeus module would advance those efforts by using a 500 kilowatt nuclear reactor to propel itself from one planet to the next, according to Russian state news agency Sputnik.
The mission plan calls for the spacecraft to approach the Moon first, then head toward Venus, where it can use the planet's gravity to shift directions toward its final destination, Jupiter. That would help conserve propellant. So, how nuclear power works and the advantage of it.
Several countries have their eyes on similar technology as a way to shorten trips in space. Right now, spacecraft rely on solar power or gravity to accelerate, but that means it could take more than 3 years for astronauts to conduct a round-trip visit to Mars. NASA estimates that a nuclear-powered spacecraft could have a year off that timeline. Nuclear thermal propulsion, or NTP rockets, are more energy-dense than chemical rockets and twice as efficient. Engineers measure this performance as a specific impulse, which is the amount of thrust you can get from a specific amount of propellant. The specific impulse of a chemical rocket that combusts liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen is 450 seconds, exactly half the propellant efficiency of the initial target for nuclear-powered rockets, which is 900 seconds. This is because lighter gases are easier to accelerate. When chemical rockets are burned, they produce water vapor, a much heavier byproduct than the hydrogen that is used in an NTP system. This leads to greater efficiency and allows the rocket to travel farther on less fuel. NTP systems offer great flexibility for deep space missions. They can reduce travel times to Mars by up to 25% and, more importantly, limit a flight crew's exposure to cosmic radiation. They can also enable broader launch windows that are not dependent on orbital alignments and allow astronauts to abort missions and return to Earth if necessary. What about the power of the SpaceX rocket? SpaceX rockets do not use nuclear power. They actually use methane with oxygen mixed in as their propellant. For getting up into orbit, for now, methane rockets work well enough and seem to be the best fuel option for the future of spaceflight for the company. If you can refuel a SpaceX Starship while it's in orbit, then it can theoretically go anywhere in the solar system if you give it enough time. As we mentioned earlier, Elon Musk wants to go to Mars. A spaceship will take more than 6 months to reach Mars from Earth. The round trip is 12 months. SpaceX can go and come back because the Mars atmosphere has CO2 and has frozen water in the ground. They can create methane, or CH4, using these resources. Do you think SpaceX should use nuclear power? For me, the answer is no. There is much more of a health risk and safety risk when SpaceX uses nuclear power. An atmospheric or orbital rocket failure could result in the dispersal of radioactive material into the environment. A collision with orbital debris material failure due to uncontrolled fission, material imperfections or fatigue, or human design flaws could cause a containment breach of the fissile material. Such a catastrophic failure while in flight could release radioactive material all over the Earth in a wide and unpredictable area. The entire planet would be at risk of having a nuclear crater left from such an accident. A nuclear-powered rocket malfunctioning and explosively crashing into a metropolitan area such as New York City would be a tragedy of unimaginable proportions.
For the safety of mankind and long-term development, SpaceX will achieve its goal without even using nuclear power. Do you think Russia will be successful with their plans for a nuclear spaceship? And can it beat SpaceX? Let me know in the comments below.